Rawr.
Rawr. Hey, buddy.
What's going on? What's happening, everybody? How's everyone doing tonight?
What's the
How do you find yourself, my friend?
All right.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, that's right.
I got this rad sucker that I'm rocking.
So we're gonna talk when Evil Lurks for about an hour.
Yeah.
So, Colin, tell me and tell people who will watch this maybe how you came across this movie.
Okay. Well, first, before you were the hard sell, or not hard sell, but
after I saw it.
Yeah, you were like, watch this. But before that,
but I think you were aware of it before then.
Yeah, I was aware of it. People were talking about it a lot. Had not seen the trailer, but I had definitely seen the poster, which is the striking image of one of the characters later.
With the axe.
The axe. Yeah. And when people talked about this, they were all like, film of the year, not just horror movie of the year.
I don't know about film of the year, but yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I'd put it up there. It was pretty awesome. It was worthwhile. I loved it.
It was really good. I don't. This is not a movie I think you can put in there with film of the year because I don't think this is a movie that you can get most folks to watch.
We'll kick him out the house then, baby. Because that's.
I mean, I'm just saying if we're talking about it from that respect.
Okay, it's no Forrest Gump. It's not that kind of film, but
it's the Polar Express. Although there are some people who have the same dead eyes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I watched it and I was like, "Hey, dude, you need to drop your shit and you need to watch this." I think there was another movie too where I was like, "You need to watch this like right now." Oh, that was the one where the sleep test.
Oh,
I
God. I want to say "Come with Me," but I don't think that's right. But
I can always look in the Discord.
Yeah, it's good. That was good.
Yeah, I've read a lot of where people are like, that movie's great if you stop watching before the last like 5 minutes. And I was like, I thought the last 5 minutes were good.
No, I thought it was very solid.
But I can see why there are people out there who are like, this ruined it for me. Like,
well, I there's a few people I've also seen who are like, no, with this. And also mostly no for this.
Come true.
Yes, come true. People who are no on this for our main protagonist's actions in the last stretch of the movie where they're like, are you effing kidding me?
So
but we'll get into that.
We both watched it for 31 and 31. Which apparently everyone who watches horror movies and talks about them on the internet has done the same. What was your first like visceral reaction to this movie? Did you watch it alone? Were you
watched it alone? Really late at night.
Before we get started, how's Tarm?
Tarm hasn't got a pump on in a couple days, so I don't know. Every thought counts right now.
Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers for Tarm. I still have to tell her about that. Like, I was thinking about it today, though. I was like, I should tell her about this. Like,
you tell her. I'm too embarrassed to tell her.
All right,
but please put it in the context of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
totally.
sure she'd be like, "Polygon, what? What are you two idiots battling about?" There's this guy named Pat. And then Griffin asked about his arm constantly, and they refer to it as Parm.
Yeah.
Hey, how's Parm today, Pat? How's Parm doing? Are you a Parm update? And I decided because Tony has arms like a god, that I was like, can I get Tarm update? So there you go. So every time now I'm gonna ask about Tarm update. Anyway, what was that visceral first reaction you had?
I really love, love, to be honest. Like, I love things that are like, that have this much of an oppressive, like, darkness to them. in a strange way, like I really get off on it. For
Yeah,
some
you
reason.
love some dark stuff.
I really do.
You drug me through the mud this year.
Yeah, no, yeah.
In a good way. I watched some stuff I probably wouldn't have watched without your recommendation that I actually, some of it I thoroughly enjoyed. I maybe will never revisit it, but I was like, this was great. It was a very good movie.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know, like I recommend, I'm the kind of guy who recommends Irreversible in like a non-edge lordy kind of way.
Yeah,
Which
Irreversible's
is
like,
a great
movie.
It's hard. It's so hard to watch.
I don't ever need to see it again.
Yeah. But so like I just fell in love with this like right off the bat. Like everything about this, it was so good. And then there are moments where like legit my love of it was like I was like just really just getting off on how dark this was, and then it takes even darker turns that I was not expecting with imagery, with just like
I can think of a couple things where I've talked about. I was like,
I was just
getting this for a long time.
Yeah, I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and so that it turned into like awe, but awe kind of bordering on like I'm like legit, like I'm kind of horrified at what I'm seeing, but not in like an offended kind of way or anything like that, but just like holy shit.
And I don't think it was anything, just to like let people know, I don't think there was anything in it that was just so overtly like disturbing. I think there was some things that were the reason they were, I think, hit so hard is because there was like, you as a horror fan, you had a feeling what was going to happen. I'll take the dog spoilers. The dog and the little girl. As soon as I saw that dog and that little girl, it's like that dog's going to kill that little girl. But they drug it out so long that I kind of go like, well, maybe they're not going to. Maybe that's too easy.
Yeah.
So then when it hit, it was like, oh shit. And it was so fast and so brutal that, I mean, he's shaking that little kid around like a fucking rag doll.
Yeah.
And I literally jumped. I was one of the only times this entire Halloween season where I legitimately went, whoa.
Yeah. No, like once that dog licked those demon encrusted biley clothes, I
kind of felt like
I was so tense. I was like
but I was also like, they keep looking at the dog, but are they fucking with us? Because you don't know the rules.
Yeah, and this film has rules too.
That's the thing. Yeah, I think you pointed out, and it kind of brought me to the conclusion of how one of the reasons I was so impressed with it was the world building. So why don't you speak on that?
All right, so we'll just like this world it's something else. Like God has been an actual presence in people's lives, and God has either been he's dead or he's abandoned this world, and there's a legit everyday presence now of like demons just possessing people, like, and these people who get possessed, they become these just grotesque abominations. Like they become like bloated and full of sores, and they're leaking bile, and they're called rotters, and they're all there to serve the purpose of spreading like possession, like an infection in a way, and also in the chance that they can birth a real demon into the world.
It's kind of got a little bit like a Warhammer vibe to it that way. If I'm possessed long enough, then I'll sprout a demon, basically.
And
there's other fiction that have used that same thing.
Yeah.
I don't recall anyone using it in just a flat modern setting.
So and it's just so matter-of-factly. There's nothing big and grand about it. No. It's so mundane.
Did you also feel like, and maybe it was just the location, but
it's shot in Argentina.
Yeah, and I don't know shit about Argentina at all. I know less than shit. It just felt so sparse, almost like dystopian, like on the edge of dystopian.
Yes, yeah.
It reminded me a little bit of the Road Warrior that way, where you kind of feel like, where you're like, the wheels of civilization are
Or
coming off. They're not off yet, but they're coming off.
Or if not the Road Warrior, the very end of Mad Max, once like the police force has like been like gone, and it's just
that's what I meant. That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
On the countryside.
Yeah.
It's just like
Road
this
Warrior,
is
not Mad Max.
There's just this.
I have such a hard time
unease.
getting those two straight in order for some reason.
It happens. But like, yeah, like you feel the order of this world is very precarious. It's just hanging there. All authorities are like, we're not handling any of this demonic shit. Fuck it. There's like this order that goes around, I guess, of kind of like, they're sort of like exorcists in a way. They're called cleaners, and they are kind of dispatched to deal with this stuff. And they're the only people who have the tools or the training that know how to do it safely. And you get the idea over the film that even this is kind of dying out. Like,
that they're just overrun.
Yeah. And it's very hard. It's like a hard, for the underprivileged in this, these people are already living in like apocalyptic settings. And then you see the people, it's kind of like suburbia, but you can tell that there's
it's like on the outskirts of rural, I would say. It's I mean, almost like if you go to a massive city and you're like out like 3 suburb rings at the last suburb ring, where it touches up against a rural community, that's where it feels like you are, except for I don't think it's around any vast city. I think it's just like you said, it's just town of just maybe 10,000 rural all around it.
For me, this felt a lot like driving those vast stretches, like between like Ohio and here. Like,
I just remember it reminds me of the Crazies that way.
Yes, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're out and like it's a relatively like, I mean, there's
pockets of people here and there, and where there are those people, it looks like
1 second. Keep talking.
It looks like every other kind of day, like suburb kind of thing like that. And then all of a sudden it slams hard into fields of just emptiness, and you have like all that fenced off like cattle fields, but you don't see much any indication that like there's any kind of thriving farmland in this world.
Not anymore. It feels like there's not anymore. There's nothing.
It's very hard, and one of the characters is this kind of landowner who seems jaded and desperate in his own sense, just to kind of keep things going along, that he'll take completely stupid and drastic measures in the beginning of the film that lead to just everything.
Well, our main 2 characters are 2 brothers.
Yeah, Pedro is our oldest brother, and then Jaime the younger. And Pedro is his life is
kind of a mess.
Yeah, he's divorced.
Yeah, he sounds like he was an alcoholic.
Yeah,
if not still an alcoholic.
Yeah,
and Jaime is kind of like this. Is the younger. The one thing I really loved about those two,
like he felt kind of like the put upon, like I
have to take care of you.
Yes, yeah.
And Jaime also feels like more innocent, I guess. Less jaded,
more valorous.
Yeah. But the thing I love about both of them is that I really liked is they love each other. Like
they are a unit.
They will not forsake one another. They're not running out on one another. No matter what happens, no matter how bad it gets, they are ride or die.
Yeah,
they share a lot of that in horror
pain and It kind of holds the movie together, that there is this solid, unbreaking relationship between these 2 brothers who are soldiering ahead into basically literal hell in a way, and they're just there to back each other every step.
I also, some people really hate that Pedro especially is as dumb as a box of rocks. I don't.
I don't know if he's dumb.
I think he's stupid. I think
he's broken.
Yeah, but I don't think he was on the firmest ground before all of this. I don't think he's a smart man. I think Jaime is a smarter man, and that's why Jaime doesn't make some of the mistakes that Pedro makes. Pedro willfully does some stupid things.
But I'd argue it's all out of desperation that he
it
does
is.
it.
I don't
And
disagree
it's
with
all
that.
because everything he's
I feel
been
like
put up against, his logic and everything has failed, and because they can't handle it. They are ill-equipped.
Here's my counter to people who don't like this flick because of the perceived stupidity. I got the impression that they're both rural guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I grew up with a lot of rural guys.
And I wouldn't say that's necessarily like stupid, but
they're out of their depth.
Yes.
Panic sets in. And rather than like normal horror cliche where someone does something stupid, like overtly stupid, where you're like, why the fuck are you doing that? This felt like more, I mean, for me, it was like, oh, Pedro's going to do something dumb because Pedro's dumb.
I'll say the final dumb thing he does, because he makes dumb moves, but like you can see where it goes to. That is legit dumb. Like it's just like you totally just played right into.
Well, one thing I really kind of, the more I kind of ruminated on it as well, is they don't make a lot of dumb mistakes early on because they run. They just cut and run. When they get to a point where they can't run anymore, and they actually have to stand up and like just hold ground until they can figure out a way to run again. That's where stupidity kicks in big time. And that's a thing like haven't seen in a lot of movies where, you know, it's the flee, and you get the final kind of stand up. And in almost every movie, the protagonist, especially in any American movie, the protagonist like they hold out and they win it in the end. We don't see very many like bleak endings. And this was just like, no, there's no sensibility as far as your precious Western civilization.
And I'd also say like the antagonist does not come to them. They have to go back to correct what they did wrong. Like you're seeing a lot of things you would not see in American horror.
I got a lot with the antagonist of more just like, I'll get you eventually. But why I mean, because now that you put me in a position to spread, I'm gonna get everybody. Like I got time. Time is on my side. So you have to come get me. It's not the other way around. And that's one thing I liked about it was it did like act like a disease.
It does.
Diseases don't give a shit about you. They just propagate.
And I love that there's like certain things I mean, okay, so the movie we're dealing with demonic possession here. Like, if you're here, buckle up. We're gonna maybe get into a few little spoiler things, but we will maybe not get too heavy into it. But yes, we are dealing with like demonic possession, and you've got like this one central thing, this first
rotter
thing, the first like possessed that becomes this rotter, and it can spread like either influence or possession itself in a way, like out to people, and
it almost does it in every conceivable way you can think of.
Yeah, because like certain characters like, oh, I heard voices in my head and they just started. Some people like the dog licks bile, and a few characters meet their demise and come back after like
meet their demise in incredibly horrific fashion.
Oh yeah. It also in one fun case has their demise like telegraphed to them by the most gleeful like delivery ever, like daddy's gonna hit you with the car. It's just like what? And then
also we talk about shitty guy at the beginning who kind of actually causes all this to happen.
The landowner.
When he comes back and he explains to his wife what happens, he's freaking out because he realizes it didn't work. Trying to get rid of the rotter did not work.
Oh well, the first thing in the morning is they see their goats are possessed.
He goes out and she realizes she's pregnant. When she realizes they're fucked.
Yeah.
And she kills him, and she kills herself.
Super
And she,
Spike.
hey, Super Spike.
After though, what he does is he goes to shoot the goat, and she's like, "Do not do that. Do not
It'll
do that.
spread.
If you use a gun, it'll spread." Boom. I think what happens is, boom, infection hits her. She gets him, and then she, bam, 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 with an axe, and wow,
It's a great special effect.
You see like straight on into like right directly head on to her while she's doing this, and
it's to me one of the things that brings the brutality in this movie so well is the realisticness of like if you hit yourself in the face with an axe, you're not going to die real fast. It's going to take some whacks. It's also if a little kid hits you with a hammer, you ain't dying quick because they're a little fucking kid. It's going to take lots of hammer whacks for you to die.
And especially with this axe scene, like when they then cut to the side shot, the profile, and you see the feebleness of her of the successive wax, because she just does not have, the body does not have it in it anymore. I was just like, wow. You don't have to go crazy gory, and I mean it's a little gory, but it's not like insane.
It's not gory. I didn't think it was overly gory at all. I thought it was just the right amount of gory.
Yeah, but it's I'd say, I guess what's so shocking of it is it's just an assaulting kind of image that you are not used to, really. Not that up close, and not from.
They're like very set. Those big shocking moments are very set piece moments without you realizing they're a set piece moment.
Yeah,
because the whole movie feels like you're just gonna sit on the edge of your chair the whole time. So when those things happen, you're like, oh geez.
Like with the mom and the kid when we see them on the road later, like you're not expecting that to happen, and then as it this is the scene. This is what we're here for. It's and you're not going to get away from it. Wow. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
One of my friend of mine who runs a theater in Minneapolis. Do you know Earl?
I don't know if I do.
His comment on this movie was, he said, that is a goddamn relentless movie.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't let you breathe. And I thought that was perfectly put.
And I wouldn't say for like, it's not like an action.
No, it's a tension.
The story is always boom. You're getting a new hit.
If I remember right, too, it's a short movie. It's only like 90.
It's like an hour and a half. And also the way they build the world continuously. Like when we find out, like, that one fun little tidbit, like about, because Pedro has 2 kids. His eldest son, I think his name is Yair.
I think so.
And he is autistic. And they run into an ex-cleaner later who's like, hey, I think I see something going on, and let me tell you why. The demons, when they possess like autistic people, it takes them a while, so the signs are a little more subtle, because they can't figure out the inner workings of a person with autism, how their brain kind of is going, and which I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah,
what a cool wrinkle.
I thought it was interesting, because it's almost like, well, if I have a disability, whether it's mental health or developmental personality disorder, does that make you harder to possess them? Which is the opposite of what we've always generally thought. But like the church has been looked down on people with mental health, and they've accused them of being possessed. Which I was like, you just flipped that completely on its head. That's interesting. Like that's another thing where I was like, oh my God, that's so wild.
Yeah, like they take so many. The writer director Damien Rubna, like he just infuses so many. There's like this would be a wonderful companion piece to 30 Coins, because there's so much like Catholic infused kind of.
He also did another movie called Terrified, which I have not seen, which also a lot of people speak very highly of.
Okay.
Also, I think it's still on Shudder. I'm not sure.
All right.
Been on Shudder. It's been on. I think it's another like Shudder exclusive. Which, for all the bitching and complaint, like, don't read the Shudder comments.
Oh no,
it's a hellscape. But I think Shudder has really done a good job of finding some interesting flicks to put up like this.
Yeah.
And especially foreign films. And this is just, it's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, and they are doing a really good job of like finding these real awesome talents outside of the US and throwing a little bit of cash their way. And we see the result with this. Like, this is not a huge budget movie, but it looks fantastic.
Yeah, it reminds me of
Oh.
the Anwar movies that in Pedagore, Satan Slaves, those two movies, where they look like a million bucks.
Yeah.
You know they're not, but
Yeah.
they're fantastically done.
Yeah, like
they're really creatively shot as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say like, yeah, like this is just it's so well done and so well thought of, and just the world is built so well. Yeah, man.
I also really like they don't spell everything out for you. Like
No.
Jaime's relationship with the woman.
Yes.
I was like, did they used to? Was
I
they
think
fucking?
so. I think
Is that
so.
why she's not a cleaner anymore?
I feel like,
did she leave because of?
Well, did you pick up that there was tension between Jaime and the ex?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jaime might be a little bit of a Lothario and got his way around maybe where he shouldn't have many times, and it kind of led to a lot of troubles for people. That maybe that's Jaime's sin in all this. While we see how so blatant and upfront like Pedro's mess is, maybe that's what Jaime's dealing with.
It was so rough with that whole scene with the ex and her new. I think he was her husband or just boyfriend.
Yeah, because they also have they talk to the boys and like, your half sister, like, wow.
Well, yeah, especially when he's like, pack your shit, we're leaving. And what about my sister? You mean your half sister? No, they're staying here. Because he like tells the ex at first, he's like, come on, we got to go.
And they just stonewall him, and they're like, no, whatever.
But I also was like, that was the thing. That was the thing.
Aren't they
like,
haven't you been drinking again and stuff like that to him? Even
that was the thing that was so hard about that entire scene, was to see somebody who was actually trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But had done so much wrong previously.
Oh, so much damage.
That the people they were trying to save actually, rather than just ignoring them, became complete antagonists.
Yeah.
Mainly the ex-wife, which made me go, oh God, Pedro was even worse than we thought he was.
Yeah.
But then when the dog thing happens and the little girl, the father goes to chase her, and Pedro's like, fuck, and he's like, I gotta follow him. And it's hard to tell, are you following him because you are trying to help him, or because you're like, this is another incident where if he shoots her, this is just going to get worse and worse and worse? What are you caring about at this point? And I think that's the thing that made Pedro interesting, was the fact that he didn't have all the answers, and he did make bad decisions, but also he was such a gray character morally. I couldn't discern, like, are you doing this for you? Or are you doing this for somebody else? Are you doing this? Do you feel like you're going to do this for somebody else, but really you're doing it for you?
I think they realize with what massive of a fuck up they did, and how they're all just like, okay, we got to pack and get the fuck out of here. Like, cause this is no good anymore. Like, I think this is his kind of, this probably is his, in his eyes, this is the redeeming act to be a dad again. Yeah. And I feel like he's putting his heart into this, because I mean, yeah, he is trying to even get his ex and her family, but then once he's like, this is not going to happen, it becomes, I need to save my boys. And and they don't even really have a plan, like they sleep in a car one night, and like, and while he goes and gets his kids, Jaime goes and gets their mother. Oh, that poor mother. And yeah, I think he's a guy who's made a decade or more of awful choices that have just completely destroyed his life and the lives of other people around him. And this, now that he's made the ultimate like avalanche like of fuck ups begin, like
Well, and the avalanche of fuck ups, I think, is because he and Jaime don't have the standing to put their foot down and say no.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was just going to say they don't have the guts to like stand up because they know what they're doing is wrong when they're moving Uriel.
But they know that guy can basically run them off their land.
But he's he holds all the cards to their livelihood.
And that's why they go to him. They don't want to, but they go to him because, hey, this is what's going on. We need to do something. And they disagree with what he wants to do, but they just have to get in line.
And the next morning, because they go to this fucker's master plan is, let's go dump this big infected body off somewhere in the woods. Who cares?
Town, not our problem.
Yeah. And they see a child in the road, which makes me now think of the end where they're like, evil loves children and children love evil. Was he calling that kid out there to make that happen? You decide. But like they swerve, and then all of a sudden they look in the back and hey, that big infected quasi corpse possessed body thing is not there anymore. Jaime and Pedro know this is no good, and that guy is just like, fuck it. I'm just gonna go to bed, man. I got a wife at home. And in the next morning we see them, they're making their plan to hightail it, and that guy's gonna go out and check on his goats, and we know what happens there. Yeah, like it's just, they know what they're doing, but they do not have the means in any way to do what is right. And it costs them, and I don't know if that's necessarily their fault at that. It's so tough. This is it's a hard world. It's a hard world.
That's, I think, the biggest thing is it reminds me a little bit of like Romero zombie flicks in the fashion of there aren't any good choices. There's just merely less bad choices.
Yeah.
The characters have to make.
But
one of the things it kind of doesn't do is fall into the Romero thing of like, the humans are the things you really have to worry about. And this, it's just like, no.
Yeah. No, there's an opposing
force. You need to worry. You need to worry because everything's bad.
Yeah.
You need to worry that you'll make a mistake. Which brings me, like, I think the next big, for lack of a better term, set piece is the school.
Okay.
Unless you have one in between there that you feel like this is something.
There's, because there's some things in here I desperately want to talk about, but then also like if people are gonna go like get excited about this from us talking about it and seek this out, there's things I do not want to spoil. I do, like, particularly dealing with like the grandma, if you know what I'm talking about. Like that whole lead up that was spine chilling.
Yeah, there was a lot going on there that I just would prefer to let someone else explore and find on their own.
Yeah,
because I think that was some of the best payoff you're going to see in a movie. And maybe the grossest the movie gets.
Oh, that's fucking, it's gross. And there's that point, where those two characters share that look.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm oh God, just that has that little sequence, just the eyes flicking up to the side, full of all the knowledge of what happened. And oh God, like that has stuck with me so much, even maybe more than like brain candy. You know what I mean?
So the school, I think, to me is.
But yeah, this is eerie. And
yeah, it's the former cleaner and Pedro figure out where the bloater or the rotter is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in a school.
Yes.
And the way the kids try to manipulate them,
these little shits.
yeah, they look awful, first of all.
These kids look like they have had no form of like sustenance or sleep
They're
or anything like
dirty,
that for a
they're
good while. Yeah.
nasty looking, and
Possibly a week or so. Yeah. Yeah.
and there's just layers of manipulation that go on here. It's like once one of them's like, "Oh, you've got it. It's in my house up on the hill,"
Yeah.
and they're like, is her name Marta? I can never remember.
Murda.
Where she basically does the Ash Williams moment where she goes, "Wait, it's a trick,"
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
The next kid is like, "No, they're lying. It's inside the school," and I was like, "Oh, that one kid's not messed up." Bullshit. That kid was just pulling him into another situation.
Yeah, no, it's
and this is I think where people can have a legitimate bitch about Pedro's bad decision making. Because he gets them.
He abandons Murda, like straight up when it comes to yes. But so they so okay, so Murda informs, and I touched on it earlier that these demonic presences, they somehow can just completely just sync up with children, and children in a willing way just sync up, because evil loves children and children love evil. Yep. Which is one of the most, when that's first dropped, that line, I was just like, oh.
And I can't remember who I was listening to talk about this, and they were like, that works so well because it's on the fact that children just don't know any better.
Yeah, no, they're just innocent.
They're susceptible to lie. And that's what it's just it's an ongoing lie, or God forbid in some ways that they think it's just a game. And by the time they realize the consequences, it's way too late.
Kids instinctually love to be rascals and do rascally shit, and can lead in nasty ass places. Sometimes, where it, like you ever see little kids tease and it goes too far, and like, like they'll get one kid in tears and maybe they won't stop. And I think that's kind of that lane where this evil can kind of intercede. So these kids they're just like a little Village of the Damned kind of dealy going on.
Or I think it's an Italian movie where they go to this.
I just all of a sudden thought of
where the kids have killed all the adults.
I know what you're talking about. I was thinking of the one German movie that was not too long ago, I think called The White Ribbon, where all these kids just take up like the anti-Semitic like views of like the community and like start like.
Oh, I don't think I'm familiar with that.
Oh God, it's a brutal film. It's a brutal film. Very hoity-toity. From like maybe 2010. So it was a while ago. I think it came out like the same time around.
There's like a 70s movie
where all
they go to this like island.
It's not Watch Out Children at Play, is it? Or that one where they have to kill all the kids?
Yes,
most brutal fashion.
Yeah, there's some brutal ass.
Where they're like sticking barrels at kids' mouths and like.
No, it's not that. This is a different movie than that, but it's
okay. There's a movie like that out there, and it's the wildest thing ever.
Yeah, I know what movie you're talking about. There, it's like that's like a group of kids who are just like awful. This is like the whole town. Like all the adults are gone.
And it's like pre-Children in the Corn and all that.
I think so. I think it was like the 70s. I think it's an Italian movie, but the problem is when you look up like killer kid movies on Google, it just brings you to every American movie where you're like, oh, this, I'm well aware of these movies. And
they don't even show you Mikey right off the bat, that's a travesty in itself.
Who Can Kill a Child?
That's a hardcore title. That sounds very Italian too.
It might be Who Can Kill a Child.
Who Can Kill a Child?
Anyway, I'm sorry, I've got us off track there.
The Macho Man.
But there is a vibe there of like, you're not sure what these kids are. So, there's that moment of like, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to kill these kids?
Oh, yeah. No, you're like, as the audience, you're like, should they just like fucking annihilate these kids? Like, are they okay? Are they can they be saved? Are they like some of the people we've seen? Are they just husks? You know, don't know.
I think this is the point where I think it's the point in the movie where evil preys upon Pedro's biggest weakness, which is him wanting to do right by his kids.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, I didn't even put that layer into it.
It's his guilt about, him feeling like he abandoned his boys.
Yeah.
I've been my boy.
My boy.
And I think that's what causes that shit to go completely wrong.
Yeah.
And poor Murda. That is one of the nastiest, brutalest deaths I can think of.
Yeah.
It's slow. That's the other thing. It is slow.
So should we
spoil it.
Just the scene a little bit. Oh, so one of the little shitty kids that you're for a split second, you're like, this kid's not so shitty. Leads
the one that told him that the monster's in here. They found the monster.
They find this
under the stage with a ton of bodies on top of it. All the adults dead.
All the adults in town have been just stacked like cordwood around the rotter, like a nest, like he's burrowed into it. And Murda is like, okay, get him out, and we need, but also
she's like building this machine thing.
Yes, there's some. This is going to be the safe way to deal with the rotter, to kill the possession, and they'll be free of the problem. Just give her time and get the rotter out, but also do not hurt him or kill him, like to the point where anything bad can. So you've got broken Pedro at his wit's end, now having to do all this physical labor of like heaving all these bodies off of this rotter. Meanwhile, there's this sweet little shitty little kid, this little girl in blonde pigtails, who's like, you should go over there to the office and get the fire axe. It'll really help you if you go over there. It'll make it so much easier if you just go do it. Please, you should do it. It'll help. And like, oh yeah. And Pedro gives in.
And Murda tells him like multiple times, like, don't just keep doing.
She's like, they are lying. They are fucking lying. Just keep doing what you're doing.
I think that's what makes that scene so compelling, is the fact that the kids outnumber them by like, there's like 15 kids and 2 of them.
Yeah.
And they're not like big kids. They're like between like 7 and maybe 12, 13.
Yeah, maybe the tallest one might be 5 foot or something like that. They're like little grade school kids. They
And they are just watching. They're like circling, like circling hungry dogs. And but they're just smiling like the whole time. Their fucked up little faces just smiling. And she is just like, nope, it's a trick. Get an axe, type of thing.
Yeah.
And he breaks.
And she begins pleading with him to stay on task. Just please come on, because she can see.
Yeah, this is going to go sideways.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he breaks.
Mm-hmm. And he goes. He abandons her. He leaves her. He takes the advice of these little kids and goes, okay, yeah, no, I'll go look for this thing. They immediately, before he can even realize what's going on, they block him off from her. And it's hammer time after that. And it is this poor woman, we hear her screams, and then we get to see her dragged across this auditorium floor as these kids playfully are just like, well, bam, with a hammer, and they're like, oh, that's not working. Bam. Like, and it's,
I think at least 7 hammer shots in that scene. But it's just such a visceral image of those kids dragging her by her feet while she's still alive.
It's playful.
And she's looking at him like, this is your fucking fault.
Yeah.
Like, she knows there's no way out. She knows she's dead.
Yeah. She's dead, and she knows that everything's fucked. Everything is,
because they break the machine. That's like the first thing they do.
You hear that. Yeah.
So now the only thing you have to do is you can destroy the rotter, but then everybody's fucked.
Do we want to go?
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
All right. So yeah, like Pedro, like the kids are just they're pleased as punch right now. They're having a good time. They're fine. They're sitting there giggling, and Pedro finally is able to find Uriel, who is the host of this demon. He's the big bloated rotter underneath there, and he's just like he's chuckling, he's laughing and smiling, and Pedro, in all his rage, grabs this broken contraption that Murda had, was setting up, and smashes it into Uriel's face, and just the biggest smile is on this entity's mug, and we see Pedro kind of just walk away, collapse on the floor, and from the background we see this little bald-headed, blood-covered child making its way out of the corpse of the rotter, and
which was very 30 coins.
Yes, and a demon is born into the world, and he doesn't kill Pedro.
Nope, marks him. That's it.
Marks him, almost anoints him in a way, and with the 2 fingers, and leaves a big bloody swath on his forehead
that he can't rub off,
that he can't get off, that he cannot get off. It will not come off. He is marked. He is a marked man. He is marked for his sins, and it's one of a deliciously evil and haunting final shot for this scene. The demon walks into a sunrise with all the little kids like holding its hand on either side and playfully going off into the world to just probably bring about the end of everything. But that's not the end of all the torment, and I don't know if we all want to get, because there's some horribly delicious stuff that comes
down. I think we leave it at that.
Yeah, there's big payoff to come.
We left out a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So on your list of movies you've watched this year horror wise, where does When Evil Lurks rank?
I want to knee-jerk reaction. I want to say this was the best movie I saw on my list, but then I'm also forgetting Eyes Without a Face, and a few others. Oh,
there was we watched a bunch of classic stuff this year. Onibaba,
General, oof. This, I'd say top 5. I'd say top 5. Yeah, oh gosh. I'd have to put this after, like, for sure. I'd have to put this after, like, Witchfinder General. I'd have to put this after. Or wait, no, I didn't do Witchfinder.
Did you not? Yeah, I was gonna say, did
no? Okay. What did I do for Theater of Blood? No, this was better than Theater of Blood. But no, like Kaidan was better. I'd say Via was better. I'd say Eyes Without a Face was better.
I would say it's probably the best new movie I watched
this
year.
Yes.
Like within the last 5 years.
Yeah, outside of the stuff that was like legitimate classics, this was by far ahead of the pack. Yeah. It was so I was blown away by this.
Like I said, I put it as kind of 1A, and I put taking One Cut of the Dead out of the race entirely because I don't really think of it as much of a horror movie in a lot of ways. It's about horror movies, but it's
yeah. It's a great movie.
It's a great movie. Again, highly recommend it. I all of a sudden I couldn't remember the name of the movie. Come True. I would put Come True as kind of like my 1B. I really liked Come True a lot.
Yeah.
But they are so opposite ends of the spectrum as well. Come True is very much like surrealistic in a lot of ways. It's very much kind of in that 80s aesthetic without being a nostalgia trip. Got a little bit like Cronenberg stuff going on. It's more of a slow thing. This movie is just like it's like a fist fight in a back alley the whole movie to your senses. It's like prepare yourself for it's gonna get real.
Bad thing after bad thing happens, and it can be it could be shown to you. It could be something as visceral as you're seeing something, or it can be just, oh, here's a bit of exposition that we're going to lay out.
Yeah,
And
here's a morsel of lore we're gonna drop.
Yeah, and it's gonna fuck your day up.
What's an old movie you would compare this to?
Oh gosh, an older movie.
Because I have one.
Oh, do you? Well, let me hear yours. I'd love to hear.
Prince of Darkness.
Yeah, just that foreboding throughout.
Yeah, okay. Insidious evil, and there's Prince of Darkness has got a lot of horrific stuff that happens, but I wouldn't consider it like gory, or it just, there's rough stuff that happens in that movie, but it, just like this movie, it all fits into the overall story. It's not like gratuitous. Mitch. And plus they have similar themes of just like evil as an infection. But that's the one that jumped in my head. I think, you know, I think Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy, this would fit in really well.
Oh, this could easily be a John Carpenter joint. Like, oh my gosh. Oh yeah. So easy. Even the I'd say even the soundtrack is fitting in a way. Like it's there's nothing is bombastic. It's so au naturel in that John Carpenter mode that only the bombast comes from the extremeness of certain moments, but it's never an outside thing like the score gets crazy or anything like that, you know, to like set mood. It's always so subtle, you know. Yeah, like this had that. Mitch is infected with the groove and the funk. I get it.
Hey man, I feel it. How would you you know, I know we try to pick our movies into one of 4 categories. Where does this one fall for you? Is this a beginner, a intermediate, a horror fan, or is this a masterclass type of flick?
I'd have to say masterclass. Just, and I know this is a new movie, and maybe that's a little bit like, really, you're gonna throw it that much clout for such a very.
Well, remember
very,
we said masterclass. We're talking about movies that like you better have a strong constitution to watch this. I think this is gonna fuck with you real bad.
I think this could go there because
I think it's, for me, it's like on the top end of like, well, I think we called it like elementary school, you know, middle school, high school, or elementary school, high school, college, and graduate school. This is like the very graduation of college. I'm not sure it goes all the way up to master to that, because I think it holds some things back, and that it doesn't go over the top. It's a movie that, even though it can be quite nasty and relentless, it invites you in.
But you know, there's some things there that, like, I don't know, I could see it being like, just because it messes with religion, and I know some people can get very, very prickly about that. This does not shy away from kid harm, which, like, and some pretty rough, upsetting stuff. I
will never be able to get over 2 things in this movie that I'm willing to talk about. Like I said, we're not going to talk about everything. And that's the dog.
Yeah.
Because it happens so fast.
And they tease it. And they tease it, and they take it away.
They tease it so much. I was like, oh, you're just going to fuck with me. All right, never mind. And then it happens. You're like, oh God. And it's so fucking viscerally brutal.
Yeah.
It is what a dog would do. What dog do to people. And the other one is the auditorium with the kids and the hammer.
Yeah.
Just the unsettling nature of laughing and giggling and dragging this woman across the floor as they ineffectually hammer her in the head to death.
The 2 things that really stuck with me are the 2 things we can't talk about. The one where the scene where Jaime reaches up with the ex-wife again, and also like
I think that scene more than any other also leads credence to your thing about Jaime and the ex.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because he makes some choices there, and you can see some stuff playing out. But also like the scene later with the older boy Jair and his grandmother. It's
It'll stick to you.
If I say anything more, I'll just say it's miraculous and heartbreaking and overall upsetting. that hit me in a really hard way. Like it was just like holy like there's like it's so like there's stuff in here that's like I think could really get under people's skin and really mess with them.
I guess I think about
commit suicide basically.
Yeah,
like that's
I think about high level though, like I said, is like Henry.
Okay,
I think of like
this is not like that level
transgressive movies, I guess. Like I would put Terrifier.
They don't rub your face in it.
Yeah, Terrifier's up there.
Okay, okay, yeah, all right. So
stuff where it's like, Cannibal Holocaust, stuff where it's
okay, I get this. Like, yeah, maybe this is level 3 then.
I definitely put it like this is your finals of college type of level stuff, though.
Yeah, like
this is not something you want to show to people. Like
I would not show this to someone who's just getting into horror. Yeah, definitely. Like there's so many things I would show them first.
This is not
make sure they're cool. Like this
is not for the faint of heart. I wouldn't even say this is for people who like horror but are not into some of the harder edged parts of horror. I would put this like, have you ever seen the movie Dread, which is based on a Clive Barker story about an experiment that some college kids run?
I don't think I have. No, because all
I would put this up there with that. There's some things that happen in that movie that are fucking awful.
All right.
But I also don't consider it like in that transgressive category.
Okay.
I would watch that flick. It's pretty good.
Right.
Based on a Barker short story. Mitch knows that story. Ooh. Yeah, it's a good short story. The movie is
it more recent?
It's probably 10 years old.
Okay. This just that brief of a synopsis sounds very familiar to me. Very familiar. I wonder if was it popular? Or at least
not really. It flew under the radar. So I think what we can both say is if you're a fan of horror, go see it.
Yeah. If horror is your thing, go see it for sure.
If you're not, don't.
Yeah. It might not. Yeah. If you don't like possession, don't see this. If you don't like child harm, I mean, well, not that if you like child harm, I'm not saying that, but if you can stomach it, it's like dogs get hurt in this.
Kids, creepy kids.
Is Barker ever popular outside Hellraiser?
Yeah, I think so. I think that he, if we're talking film, no.
I don't know, because like
Candyman did really well.
I love Candyman, and I really fucked with Lord of Illusions.
I love Cabal or Nightbreed, and the studios did him dirty on. That's the thing. The studio did Barker dirty on a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and he's also
Barker's great.
He's got such an output as an artist. I don't mind him not being so much in film anymore. But can we also just take a moment to recognize his first fucking movie ever with no idea what he was doing? He made Hellraiser. Like,
and he did it because he was pissed off because the studio was fucked up some of his stuff. So he was just like, I'm doing this myself. Fuck you.
And I think he had like a week to prepare.
Yeah,
and he made that. What a machine. What a machine.
I mean, just his art output across different spectrums is amazing.
His paintings are great. Yeah. His writing is beautiful. I love
he is a Kingster of the highest order.
And he's
like dude has written some of like Magica is one of the absolutely most beautifully well written imagination fueled books I've ever read.
Mhm.
It's a book that I will go back to periodically when I feel like I've kind of tapped myself out with like what I can dream up.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, Clive Barker's just an interesting dude.
Yeah.
I think he was like fine film wise was that flash in the pan. Um, and I think it had a lot more to do with the studio system than it did
Oh yeah.
him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lord of Illusions should have been huge.
I stand by that movie. I think it's so. I think
It's
it's a
great. I love
classic
it.
for
There's
me.
some dodgy CGI, but I mean, there's dodgy CGI in all those movies.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. There's it was still new. They're
I
trying
would
it
have
out.
loved to see more with what is it, Harry Lamore?
The character that Bakula plays. That's a wonderful character. Yeah. Head
Thief
game
of
man.
Always is also
Yes.
very good.
Yes.
To me, Thief of Always and Stephen King's Eyes of the Dragon, you could probably,
Ooh.
show a teenage young adult reader those two
Sure.
books.
Oh, I
And
definitely. I read Stephen King at a way young age, but I remember
Eyes of the
even
Dragon just has that like,
there's
it's a fantasy book,
there's a
but
sense of innocence to that is absent from all his other, like he's really playing with gentle gloves on with
yeah,
that
because
book.
it's still got Randall Flagg in it. It's just that,
But he's not Randall Flagg. He's not going full flag.
yeah, he's not full flag.
He's not full flag.
He's not flying his full flag.
No.
I
Scarlet
Scarlet
Gospels is
Gospels
great.
is really good.
Yeah.
I don't think I know that Barker said recently that just based upon what he enjoyed the last Hellraiser movie so much that now
I
he's going
loved
to
it.
go back and write some more stuff because of how much he enjoyed it. That inspired him. And I'm excited to see what he does. I've always wished he would go back to Cabal,
Mhm.
um, but we get what we get. Um,
What
Colin,
was
where
it?
can people find you? What do we got going
Um,
on?
well, you can find me. I'm going to be doing some bad at games possibly
Not tomorrow, but next Friday,
next Friday.
December
Okay,
8th, the
doing
day
that.
of the birth of yours truly. Um,
Woo!
we are gonna
Um,
play. I think we're gonna play Friday the 13th if we can get.
oh,
I've never played it. I'm super pumped.
oh, I'm excited now even more.
Doug's in. I know if we can get a couple more people, and hey, if you're
It's like
watching this and
$5,
you
guys.
want to, yeah, if you want to play, get on the Discord. Also, I think that game's like $5 tops.
Yeah, $5 for your king's birthday. He's your king. You can throw $5. Come on.
Just let the boy wash your car.
Just let the boy watch your car.
So yeah, we've got that next Friday.
Yeah. Also very excited. Not this next Thursday, but
Yeah, it is
skip. Is it
the
next?
7th.
This next?
The 7th.
Oh,
It's
because this
on.
is makeup.
Yeah, this is
Excuse me,
makeup. The
folks. Next
7th.
Thursday, we're doing
Nasty Boys.
Nasty Boys. I think we're doing the werewolf versus the vampire woman, which I've heard off of many crazy fun
Hell yeah.
internet sources that it's top Nash.
Top
Nashy. It's
Top
pure
shelf
Paul.
Nash.
Pure Pauly. We're getting uncut Paul.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that because
I might put that picture you have of Nashy you sent me as the background for Nashy Boys. So real quick, if you're going to get on Nashy Boys, we'll decide what the movie is. Go to Tubi. Because we're just
sponsored by Tubi.
Yeah, we're just poor boys. But we'll watch it all together. It won't be on the stream. You'll have to pause and play catch up. But we just joke around, have a good time. Paul Naschy movies are kind of perfect for that. We did it during Extra Life. We loved it so much. I think Spike's the one who called it Naschy Boys.
Yeah, I think so.
Hopefully Beard's computer will be working so he can do the stupid theme song.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Otherwise, Colin might be with me on Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday for sure gonna be there.
We're gonna work on Mountain Monsters.
Heck yeah, then I'm definitely gonna be there because I'll have to be wearing one of my Mountain Monster shirts. And then yeah, you can always find me Tuesdays opposite of our Spoopy Boys week doing Ming on Ming.
Yep.
Yeah, that's me.
And for those who are knee deep in it, Star Wars. episode
Ooh.
2 coming up on the 11th.
Ooh. Yes, excited.
So there'll be business. All right. Thank you guys very much for hanging out for about an hour. And we're talking about this spectacular movie. Like I said, if you're a horror guy or really into horror guy, watch it. If not, just be glad with us talking about it.
Yeah. But also, if you thought this was interesting at all, any of the things we've gone over, do check it out. It's got some stuff to show you. So, yeah. But thanks for tuning in. If you're watching this live or if you're going to be watching this later, Mitch, Spike, thank you guys as always for making the time to show up. It's the best.
Stay spoopy.
Stay spoopy, boys.
Bye.